of talked about like how the your playing career, sort of had an unfortunate scenario. So that's kind of why you got into coaching. But why else did you want to coach besides just not being able to play anymore?
I didn't know I wanted to coach until I got to college and got through my freshman year as a manager. And going through freshman year as a manager, I had no clue what college basketball was and how much went into it. I just thought I saw on TV they played the games and then that's it. So I didn't realize how much there was behind it. And even like I remember one of the coaches my freshman year was like seeing me on the bus after a game, just being so pissed that we lost.
Hmm.
And obviously I'm not playing. And like he did have a talk to me about that. Like he wanted to know why I was just so mad that we lost the game. It's just it's true. I know you know how I feel about that at times, but
Yeah.
just that competitiveness in me, even if I'm not on the court, I realized that there was so much like going to college basketball, I guess how much goes into it. I realized there was an opportunity for me to coach even if I didn't play. So
Right.
I guess start in my freshman year, I started to realize that if I wanted to coach in the future, that was a possibility for me, even though I didn't get to play.
Right. And you definitely put in so much passion and heart into the game. And I've seen a distraught Eddie many a times in the past few years. I've witnessed it firsthand. But I've also seen you on the opposite end and being ecstatic. For someone who likes to keep cool most of the time, it's pretty awesome, to see you get riled up when we have a big win or something like that, or someone hits a big shot. It's always a rare occasion, but we always love to see Eddie get out of his seat and get pumped up. But talk to me a little bit about your experiences as a manager. Like what were those things that you expected coming in, and what was the reality that hit you?
It was more than I ever expected. I mean, I knew I wanted to be a manager. Like when I was applying for schools, I was reaching out to the basketball program, seeing if I'd have a chance to work with them and have any kind of role with them. And some schools said definitely, and some said we'll have to see when you get here. Uh, so when I got to Marist, really I got to experience everything I wanted to, both being a part of the team every day, being on the court every day, doing whatever it takes behind the scenes, whatever the coaches need to help win. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do whatever it took, whether it was taking things off the players' hands or the coaches' hands. I wanted to do it or help them in any way. But just, I think learning was the biggest thing. Like at times, I'd be kind of on the outside, just looking in, just taking everything in, trying to learn as much as I can. But it was awesome. Whether it was traveling to different schools, even traveling abroad to tournaments,
Yeah.
it was. It's it's crazy how much I got out of just being a manager because I don't think people truly realize how much, I guess, goes into it and what you can get out of it. So
Hmm.
I feel like looking back on it, I can't even imagine. Like, it still shocks me how much I got out of it, but I wouldn't have changed anything.
Right. Yeah. And was there like a certain thing that clicked in your head that, oh my gosh, this is more than just rolling out a ball and a bunch of guys just playing. Like this is an actual business. This is actual like lifestyle for everyone here. What was that moment, if there was one?
There was a lot of moments. It's just the consistent pursuit of just whether it's recruiting or scouting. Like I didn't realize the scouting that went into it. Like when I tell people, like my friends and family, about how much goes into it, they're kind of in shock. I basically would say like the other team has a play coming. Our assistant coaches, some of the time or most of the time, will literally know the play that's coming based on how it's set up. And like, the amount of preparation that goes into that is insane. Like you can't just watch 10 minutes of the game and just click it. Like
Yep.
it's the amount of work that goes into that I've learned from both the staffs at Marist when I was there. Just there's so much that goes into it, and of course they both have their different ways of going about scouting. But
Right.
just learning how much goes into that, even with recruiting, you'll be going 6 straight days with games and practices, and then on a Sunday afternoon practice, you got two recruits coming in, and
Yep.
you got to put on bright smile like you're not tired at all, even though you've been in a grind for 4 months it could be,
Yeah.
and just the nonstop pursuit of winning. I don't think there's one moment that solidified that for me, but just over time, it definitely I learned more and more, and just showed how much goes into it for every single day. It's nonstop.
Right, absolutely. And what piece of advice would you give someone who's interested in becoming a manager in college and isn't quite sure? What piece of advice would you say? This is something that you should do, or this is something that you should have in terms of being successful as a manager.
Yeah, I think there's a balance because obviously I would like to say everyone should do it, but if you're not truly invested in trying to be a part of the team, you shouldn't do it. But if you're fully invested and want to be a part of basketball and a part of the team, and whether it's if you want to pursue coaching or something else in basketball or another sport in the future, but if you are definitely invested in doing it, I would totally suggest it. I mean, getting up, obviously from the outside it sounds flashy, but getting up on a Saturday morning at 8 o'clock as a college student, most people don't like to do that.
Yeah,
But especially if you're not playing. But
yeah,
everything I got out of it was great. Uh, Never had any complaints. Obviously, some days are challenged more than others with tasks you either do or don't want to do.
right.
Like as the young manager doing laundry my freshman year pretty much on a daily basis.
Yeah,
Didn't love that, but
yeah,
just
that can be tough.
there's just so much to learn that even if you played high school basketball, there's like so much stuff that you have no idea that goes on.
Absolutely, yeah, and the laundry's just like a small piece of it, and you look at like laundry, travel, packing, everything that you do as a manager. It's insane. Like who knows that coming in, and it's definitely it's definitely one of those learn as you go type of jobs.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so while you're a manager, you're also able to make some key connections. And you mentioned it earlier. You weren't just in Cleveland, checking everything out. You were an intern during the Eastern Conference Finals one year when LeBron was there. Talk to me a little bit about what you learned in that internship.
Yeah, that was a crazy time, and that connection really. It still surprised me how it happened. Like, it really is crazy how fast it happened. One of our assistant coaches at the time, CJ Lee, who I'm really close with, and I know you're close with him too.
It's
He's
good.
the goat.
He's the
But
man.
his mom works for the Cavaliers, so he put me in connection with her. So he knew I was trying to pursue something in sports, and we talked for a few months, had a few interviews, and I was lucky enough to go out there for the Eastern Conference Finals. And I literally landed in Cleveland that morning, and the department I was interning with was like the video department. Uh, I bounced around a lot, and like first day, they're like, "All right, we're gonna go down to the press conference room and just do some press conference." So I walk in the gym and it's LeBron shooting, and I'm like, I've been in Cleveland for like an hour, and I'm seeing LeBron James get shots up, which
Mhm.
was crazy. It just quick side note, it was crazy with LeBron working out after practice. He'll literally make 43s in a row, and he'll
Yeah.
miss one, and he will just be so pissed at himself that he missed 1 3,
Yep.
which
It's
didn't shock me because of how good he is, but just to
right.
see that in person, him actually be that pissed off with himself,
Mhm.
really just blew my mind. But that
Yeah.
opportunity was crazy. I mean, I was just jumping around. I was there for a short time, but it felt like even shorter. It
Mhm.
was definitely one of my most memorable experiences with sports. Just every day seeing something new. I was anything that needed to be done, I was thrown at it, and pretty much similar to me as a manager. No job was too big or small, but
Right.
it was definitely a crazy experience to be there at all.
Awesome. Awesome, Cash. And you also got to intern with another professional team in the WNBA. So you've seen it. Not only have you seen it from like practices from both sides in terms of men's and women's college basketball, but you've also seen what it's like in both sides in professional as well. And that is something that is truly amazing, and it shows just how dynamic of a person you are. You also worked with the Connecticut Sun last summer, right?
Yeah, I did.
And as an intern with that, so what did you learn working with them? I know that one was a little bit longer because you did the entire summer and even into the school year in their playoff run.
Yeah, that was an awesome experience, and I guess shamefully to say, the WNBA doesn't get the respect that they should. And me, before last summer, I didn't even give them the respect I should have.
Right.
But being around that league for the whole summer, I realized not only how good they are, but just how much respect that they should be getting. And obviously, I wasn't working on the court, but just being around that team and being in broadcast rooms and just being in the arena, seeing these girls play, they are really really good. And for the slander they get by stupid high school boys on
Yep.
social media, just ever since then, I've always wanted to be the one to just call them all out. But it's,
Yeah.
I guess, not my place to do it. But it's just they're so talented, and it's crazy how good they are at everything. Obviously, everyone here is really skilled, but there are some athletic players, and they can really play.
Yeah,
But just that overall experience, being a part of a professional sports team for an entire summer and being able to talk with players and coaches and be in press conference rooms, it's obviously I'm pursuing coaching now, but seeing the other side of sports that, as I said, off the court, but just everything that goes into the operation of putting on professional sports, I had no clue of.
right.
And that really provided me the opportunity to not learn everything, but I definitely learned a fair amount about what goes into pro sports.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like those were just two, amazing opportunities, and I'm so glad no one deserves it more than you. And I'm so glad you got to do that. And I'm sure those are going to help you, just progress and continue to learn. And yeah, the WNBA definitely does not get the respect it deserves. And I think that moment for me, being from Syracuse, was, we have this publication. It's called Syracuse.com, or the Post Standard. And I remember looking, it was either a video or a photo. I was a young kid, probably like 10, 11 years old, and Breanna Stewart was in high school. She's one of the best players in the world now, in the WNBA. She was dunking in a high school in in high school, and they had posted about it either on Syracuse.com or in the Post Standard, their newspaper publication. And I remember just seeing, this is a high school girl from my city dunking, and I'm just like, all right, some girls are just amazing at sports, and they definitely deserve that sort. Because I certainly wasn't dunking at that time in my life. Like, I wasn't even close. And the fact that she was able to do that, it just gave me this. I had so much respect for her and the program and what they did over there at CNS. And I continue to watch her to this day, because Seattle Storm, they're my favorite team in the WNBA, and won the championship a couple years ago. I was pretty happy about that. Sue Bird, Jewel Lloyd, Breanna Stewart. It's a good team.
No, Brianna Stewart's crazy. I mean, like the first game, I'm looking for live sports, and the WNBA was on. I definitely wanted to watch that. And Brianna Stewart, literally coming off an Achilles tear last year, she looked like
Right.
she didn't miss a beat. Just,
Yeah.
I think she's the best player in the world. But as you said, to see someone so close to your, basically in your hometown,
Yeah.
dunking in high school, it's crazy to see how things come full circle.
Yeah. She's like a woman's Kevin Durant, in my opinion.
I definitely agree with that.
She's awesome. All right. So what about some of the other experiences you had? I know you did hoop group. You've worked at the Marist basketball camps. You've done a lot. So what have been some of the other things? Oh, I know you train your sister too, right? She's a high
I
school
do, yeah.
basketball player, and I know you do so much. So tell me a little bit, about like what you do, what you've done in terms of some of the other things that you've gotten into, as well as the internships and being the manager at Marist.
Yeah, like looking back on it, like in my college experience, like seeing how much I did with basketball really kind of blows my mind still. I don't realize, like, I'm like, at times, I'm like, how the hell did I do all this stuff at the same time? But
Right.
going to hoop group was crazy. Just once again, just learning another side of basketball, like the recruiting landscape, just working the camp and seeing like 200 coaches watching these games. I'm like, this really is, it really is really important to a lot of people.
Right.
And just getting as much opportunity and as much, I guess, learning experience as possible, whether it was working at Marist with the men's and women's camps, being able to actually coach and get on the floor and draw up a few plays, draw up some drills,
Yeah.
uh, put them through some work. And even other camps I've worked, even sleepaway camps in Connecticut, there's a bunch I've tried to work. It really is about, I've learned that the basketball coaching industry is all about connections and knowing as many people as you can. And that,
Absolutely.
I guess we'll talk about it later, but that's how I got my opportunity at New Haven to start,
Hmm.
just trying to network and make connections. And I know you mentioned me working on my sister, but yeah, we've been doing that all summer. There's not much to do with the quarantine going on, so we've
Right.
been on the court pretty much every day, and it's
Hey.
cool. I'm almost reliving my wishful high school career through her. Obviously, I wished I had a high school career where I was starting, getting my name called every night, hitting threes, crowd going crazy. But seeing her success it makes me pretty happy, and
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to be too confident, but it's only beginning for her. She's gonna be a problem. She could shoot it too.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I mean, the last name Whitman, the fact that you're coaching her, I can already tell she's going to be a pretty good player. She's going to be a pretty good shooter at least. And I know that, you're definitely going to have a hand in whatever success she has in the sport if she chooses to go on and play in college. And I know that, she's grateful for you. And I know that you've done a lot. In my opinion, I think that's even more important than, working at the hoop groups and all that stuff, because then you can actually say, you're working on actual player development rather than doing a sort of just busy work at some of these camps. And that's what it
Yeah,
is.
absolutely.
That's what you have to do uh, growing up. And that's what you have to do as when you're just starting off in the coaching ranks. It's something that you always just have to work up, and just having a direct impact on her is probably going to be one of your most rewarding experiences, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. That's been awesome. And obviously, not trying to put too much pressure on her because
Right.
at the end of the day, where you go to college or playing at the highest level possible really doesn't matter all that much. So if she has a chance to play in college, that'd be pretty cool for her and for me to see that. But obviously, having a successful high school career is step one right now, and hopefully down the road she'll get a chance to play somewhere.
Hey, you're a smart man, Eddie. I know that you don't want to put any pressure on her, and I appreciate that. You're a good big brother.
I appreciate it.
All right. So talking about your family, your dad has also had an important impact on your basketball career. I know he coaches as well. He's a youth coach in the area.
Yeah, not anymore, but he coached me all the way through my childhood, and then both my sisters growing up. He's been the coach.
Right, right. And I know that just last year he took you to the Final Four. Talk to me about that experience. That must have been amazing.
Yeah, so my 21st birthday present, that was a surprise. Uh, he definitely had the Final Four ticket prices are crazy, so he had a connection to obviously help lower those prices a little bit, which was the only reason why we went to begin with. But that experience was crazy. Not only being able to see the games, and last year's Final Four was three great games.
Unbelievable.
Like
Unbelievable.
every game down to the last minute, and seeing that play where Kyle guy got fouled in the three, and I thought the Auburn fans were going to run the court and attack the referee. That's how pissed some people were. It was crazy. But
Yeah.
seeing Kyle guy knock down three free throws with literally 100,000 people screaming,
Yeah.
just 1, 2, 3, like it's nothing. That was crazy, and obviously having other opportunities to try to network and stuff. But there was like a manager dinner I signed up for, and luckily got picked to attend.
Right.
But that was pretty cool. But the whole experience, like I've told people, that's the greatest sports experience I've ever seen. Just the Final Four,
Yeah.
it being a college sporting event that big, it really takes over an entire city for an entire week. I don't think you see that too often with other sporting events, especially collegiate ones.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like until these recent protests, I'm sure Minneapolis has never seen that much, craziness happen in their city at one time. And that must have been sick to, not only just to go to the Final Four and be there, but to, travel. I bet you've never been to Minnesota before, right?
Yeah, never.
Like that's probably one of the coolest things is everyone just converges on one city, and we watch three basketball games, and it's the millions and millions and millions of dollars that go into that weekend, and what that's able to do and funding. And my last guest, Anthony Lucides, he was telling me that 4% of what is made during the NCAA tournament funds the entire Division III sports championships. Like
That's
that is
crazy.
the how people don't understand how big that is, and it's not cheap to house the Division III championships. It's not like you could just throw them up in small hotels and small venues. Like D3 players get treated pretty well too. It's an entire business, and it's crazy, and I can't believe that you got that experience. I hope to one day experience that one day. And like I said earlier, like no one deserves it more than you. And how was the manager sort of connection there? Like it was a dinner, you said, right?
Yeah, so I came across a link online. I think I was researching some stuff to. I obviously didn't have the credentials to go to the I guess, coaching summit that they have at the Final Four because obviously I'm not a coach yet.
Right.
So trying to find something that I could do while I was there to, I guess, make the most of the weekend being there. That was pretty much the extent of it. But pretty much it was all former managers who are now coaches because all the coaches are in town when the Final Four happens. At least a lot of them. Some decide not to go, but that's basically the coaches' meetings for the upcoming season. So they're all there,
Right.
and the former managers that are now coaches or even current managers. It was just a big event where they talk about their experiences and how they made the jump from being a manager to a coach. Obviously, because coming from the same thing of not being a player in college, so basically learning from. I had the chance to learn from people who went through the similar path I'm currently going through, and I think it definitely did set me up for, I guess, my attack plan for my senior year for trying to get an opportunity after college.
Absolutely. And that leads us right into what my next topic was going to be, and that is becoming an assistant coach at the Division II University of New Haven. You got the position on your birthday, correct? Like that was
Yeah, I
late
did.
March.
So yeah, so obviously I was sitting at home back from school, pretty upset that I wasn't at school right now to finish out my senior year.
Yeah.
And I had been talking to the head coach in New Haven, but I hadn't heard from him for like 2 weeks. So I was like, I guess I didn't nail that initial phone call. So I guess we'll have to move on to the next thing. And then out of nowhere, I got a phone call. I was talking with the head coach. It was going well, and he said, if you want to join our staff, we'd be happy to have you. You don't. He's like, you don't have to give me an answer now. And I was like, no, I'll give you my answer now. I'm totally in. So just really excited about that. And I guess people don't know from the outside. Like I really tried to work it that whole year, not just with New Haven, but other schools.
Right.
It wasn't, and it was real. And I was reaching out with not the intent of getting a job, but just making the connection and wishing them good luck in games and congratulating them on wins. And they actually made a big run in the conference tournament as they were one of the last seeds to get in the conference tournament, and they made a run to the championship. So I was in contact with him a lot for the whole coaching staff during that time. So it works out well. It's close to my house, 10 minutes from home. So I'm excited to get started. Unfortunately, COVID's going to make it a little different than usual, but
Right.
it's going to be fun to get started.
Right. Absolutely. And you know, you mentioned that you had to go through like a bunch of interviews. Like people don't understand like the amount of work and effort and all the things you have to go through just to get an interview or just to get to a response from a lot of coaches. And talk to me about like how you managed to not only stay positive and confident, but how did you manage to get that connection? Like it had to be pretty hard, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know when we lost with Marist in the MAC tournament that day, I literally obviously upset that my college career with the basketball team was over. But right then, as I look into what's next, I mean, so that ended first week of March, and it was a quick process because I knew at first it's so hard to get a job in coaching, especially like a really good job.
Right.
Um, Obviously, mine's like an entry level one. I'm just getting my master's degree in sports management, so I'm not exactly getting paid much, but getting my first opportunity, people told me that's the hardest one is getting the first one.
Yep.
And at times, even if coaches are interested in hiring you, they may not be able to because there's nothing open. So
Exactly.
it's partially luck and partially who you know. So I'm lucky enough to have some of my connections reach out to the New Haven staff, and luckily some of my connections were friendly with or friends or friendly with the New Haven staff, and that definitely boded well for me. But I definitely think what I did, I worked really hard. I really did. I was in the gym. It sounds crazy, but between both the men's and women's team, at least 6 hours a day most days, which
Yeah, I've
some
seen
people
it.
some people think it's crazy, but I
Mhm.
guess that's what it took for me to get an opportunity. So as I said before, I'm happy with everything I accomplished at Marist, but excited for what's next. Wish I could still be at Marist and in college, but excited to get started whenever that is. Hopefully we get a somewhat normal season.
Right, absolutely. And I hope you do soon. You talk about what you had to go through in order to get, the interview and the connections and the job. But you're also going to receive your master's degree, and I know you just mentioned that. And could you give anyone watching this, what is it like applying for grad school? Do you have any advice? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I only applied to New Haven because I knew that it was a possibility. I mean, in the winter, I realized like it was a possibility that I could get on the staff there because I know they might have an opening in terms of a well paid and get my master's degree. I thought that was an opportunity I could
mhm,
get a chance there. So I did apply in like January and February just in case uh, an opportunity did present itself. And luckily for myself, it did. I mean, it kind of was a perfect storm. I had been talking to the head coach there for a number of weeks, so I was kind of hoping that it was going in that direction that I'd be able to join the team.
right.
But applying wasn't that hard. I had to take a test, so basically like the SAT for grad school. So that was an interesting experience.
Yeah.
Uh, wasn't the most fun preparing for that, but
Ah,
I'm excited about it. I think it's gonna, especially during COVID. I know people and friends of mine are having tough times finding jobs just because of the world we live in right now, unfortunately.
absolutely.
But the fact that I'm getting coaching experience and also being able to get another degree and something that interests me, and obviously coaching right now is priority one. But I think that a master's degree in sports management could set me up for
Anything.
if I do want to pursue something in professional sports or even college sports. It definitely, although I'm not going to be making a ton of money in the next year, I think it just sets me up well for the future. I hope.
Right. Yeah, and absolutely. And that's just part of your process. That's just a part of the long grind it takes. And I completely understand it. Now I'm looking forward to seeing, what you have in store. What are you expecting to get out of this?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really going to throw myself out there. It's been awesome getting to know the coaches and even the players now, even though it's on Zoom and text, but getting to know them. It definitely feels a little weird at the beginning, making the jump from basically being the players' friends to
Right.
still being friendly with the players, but in a different way.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously not in a dominance kind of way, just kind of in a mentorship kind of way, but kind of
Yeah.
just I'm here to help. I'm here to do whatever you need of me.
Right.
It definitely is just a different approach to it, but so far everything's been great with obviously, as I said, just Zoom calls and basically doing what I think is right at the moment, just trying to learn our team and learn the recruiting landscape and just learn everything that goes into it's I guess there's a difference between in college as a manager watching the coaches do it than opposed to actually having to do it.
Right.
Excited for. I'm excited to learn. I'm excited to get to work with our team. I think we have a really, really talented team. I wasn't involved in recruiting this year because I was just getting hired, but I know the coaches that were there last year going into this year, they're confident, so that makes me confident.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I've seen the roster, and I think you definitely have a reason to be, excited for this coming season. And like it's going to be a great time. Hopefully you'll be able to have as normal of a season as possible. You never know what could happen, especially in this day and age, in this environment. But I'm just hoping everyone stays safe, hoping you stay safe during all of this. And it's been a blast talking to you, man. It's been a blast having you on and talking about your future in coaching and what's gone into becoming the assistant coach over at New Haven. And I'm so happy for you, so proud of you. I've been with you through some of it. These past 3 years have been a blast with you, man. And I'm so excited to, watch you and see what happens moving forward. Do you have anything you'd like to say to finish off the podcast?
No, it was fun. It's always fun to talk hoops with you. It's as you said, been a fun 3 years. Excited to see what you do in the future. I'm excited for you moving to next basketball season. Um,
Thank you. Thank
you
you.
are you've earned everything you get, and 100% with that. But
Appreciate it.
definitely, it's been fun.
Absolutely, Cass. And I appreciate your kind words and all that. And we're definitely gonna have to stay in touch. And I may hit you up to be on another one of these episodes, these podcasts. Cass, you're pretty good at these. You never know what could happen in the future. But yeah, dude, thank you for coming on. Thank you to everyone for listening. And yeah, dude, do you have like social media you want to plug or anything?
Not really. I got my Twitter, got my Instagram, but it's all good.
Yeah, follow my boy.
Yeah.
Follow my boy, Eddie Cash Money. All right, dude, thank you so much for coming on. And yeah, thanks.
Thanks.